2025 was transformative. No, I didn't win the jackpot. I didn't make these like massive, like mega changes and transformations. I didn't suddenly become millions of dollars richer. But I am certainly ending this year a different person than I started it. And I think that's the general consensus with every year, right? You start it one way and you end it a different way. And I think it's really important to sort of look over the year that you've had, just so that way you can reflect, can see the changes that you've made, to see the growth that you've really endured. Growth is always enduring. And just to see the adjustments you've made and how far you've come. So that way you can move through the next year anticipating more growth, just anticipating continued improvement and continued change, and sort of, looking at it as, where do we go from here? So for my 2025 Wrapped, I am sharing the 5 shifts and changes that my life has taken over the course of the last 365, wasn't a leap year, was it? I'll say 65 just to be safe. 65 days. And I'm going to share a little bit about what I learned from those changes and shifts as well. And I would love to hear what you guys did. I would love to hear what changes, what adjustments, what things you endured and went through during 2025. Not everything is peaches and cream, right? Not everybody is going through life saying, oh my word, every change that happens is just a miracle. Like, no. I'm all about thinking positive, but sometimes life just really sucks, right? So today we are going to be looking at our 2025 Wrapped. So the first thing that happened in my life is that I became a full-time virtual assistant. That is my day job. That is what I do to earn money. That's my job. I used to work in admin in a local place, but I had the opportunity to be a virtual assistant full-time at the beginning of March of this year. So I've been a virtual assistant for about 3 years now. This is a pretty long time, but I had one client for the last 3 years in particular. And I only had one client. And so I was working with them while simultaneously working a part-time job at a local company. And at the beginning of the year, I really felt like, I'd really like to leave my job. Being a virtual assistant is sort of the direction I would like to go in. And also just the culture that was at this job that I had, I wasn't really digging. And so I was like, I think I really want to lean into becoming a full-time virtual assistant. So in March, at the end of February, beginning of March, I sort of did a push. I contacted a lot of people. I told more people that I was a virtual assistant and what a virtual assistant was, right? I found out that I was telling people that I was a virtual assistant, but it sounded like I had a full-time job doing that, which was not the case. And so people were really confused about what I meant when I said virtual assistant, okay? And so basically I told people that I was a virtual assistant the right way, basically saying, hey, I'm open for business, I'm looking for clients. And fortunately, a lot of people in my community, in my network of friends and family, of, just people, local people around, they were like, yeah, we'd love to have you help us. And so I was able to make a lot of connections in a short period of time. That definitely was a miracle. It was definitely a God thing. It was definitely something where it's like, I was not expecting this response. So it was sort of a sign that, yes, you're going in the right direction in this capacity. And so in March, thank heavens, I was able to leave my job that I was working and become a virtual assistant full time. And of course, that has also given me the opportunity and a lot more time to pursue other ventures and other passions that I've always wanted to pursue, but just never had time because I, had to keep a particular schedule with a job, which that's reality, right? That's what most people do. I'm not blind to that. I know that a lot of you guys work jobs that look like that, okay? And so this is definitely a huge blessing. I'm very fortunate to be able to have this. So that way I can, be more flexible, I'm going to say. Be more flexible to work on other things, to work on my projects, to work on these other things that it's like I'm trying to build. And a major thing that I learned from this whole experience is that your network is crucial, right? I'd always known that. I worked at career services when I was in college, okay? And that's all they preached was your network, right? Building your network. But I never really understood what that could mean, right? I always thought, oh, they just mean your professional network. And, I'm not really looking for a network that's going to get me a job. I'm looking for a network that'll be my client, right? Figuring out that your network is everyone. Your network is everybody that you know. And it's not looking at these people and at this, network of people as simply your advantage, right? You're not looking to take advantage of them or looking at them as just an opportunity, but it's also not dismissing them. It's not assuming that you have to have this massive following on social media in order to grow a business, right? It's a matter of, hey, like just telling people who love you what you're doing. And a lot of times that will push you forward in some capacity. Number 2 is that I learned to leave. So I'm sort of piggybacking off of this my previous lesson. I have a tendency of being super loyal to things. Like I'm not even saying this in a good way, okay? Like I'm stupidly loyal to things. I was loyal. I've been loyal to jobs before that treated me so poorly. I've been loyal to people before that treated me so poorly. And yeah, I'm just a very loyal person, right? Golden retriever in that way. In every other way, I'm more of like a chihuahua. And a lot of it is that, number 1, I don't want to disappoint people. I don't want to disappoint the people that, I'm considering like moving on from, right? Don't want to disappoint those people. But I also have I struggle to quit. I always feel like, and I don't know where it comes from exactly. I don't know who instilled this in me or what situation instilled this in me, but it's always in the back of my mind that it's like, if you're quitting, then you're weak. Or if you're quitting, then you don't know how good you have it. Or if you're quitting, that, you weren't willing to stick it out. You're lazy. You're stupid, right? Like you're quitting. Quitting never sounds good, right? Resigning, maybe, but quitting or leaving, it doesn't sound good. It just sounds like you're giving up on something that could be good. And I have this sort of weird tendency to need to prove myself to things, to prove that I can do something, to prove that I'm tough, that I can tough it out, right? I think a lot of people struggle with that, and I think a lot of women who feel sort of this boss babe pressure, we struggle with that, right? We feel this need to prove how strong we are, right? Even when we hate something, by golly, we're going to prove we can do it, right? Even if we could, by all means, have somebody else do it. Somebody might have actually volunteered to do it. We're going to do it ourselves, right? And so I sort of have this blind loyalty struggle. And there have been, a few situations in last year that it was like, it really dawned on me that it's like, this is not serving me, right? I'm stressed. Like the kind of stress where it's like your chest hurts, right? Not like I'm having a heart attack. It's just like my chest is tight. There's always knots in my stomach every time this person messages me or texts me. I'm freaking out. I feel like I'm always going to get in trouble. I feel like I'm walking a tightrope all the time. I feel like, right, you just feel like everything all of a sudden is just going to combust. You're constantly under pressure. And, I realized that I was in a number of situations this year that were like that, where I was constantly buzzing. I was I couldn't sleep. I struggled to sleep because there were situations that it's just like, this is on my mind all the time. And I never know, right? I never know because bad things have happened while I was sleeping. And so I realized that it was like I was staying, not because it was good, but because, I was afraid to leave. I was afraid to quit. I was afraid to say, I'm done. Like, peace out. Ellison is out. Ellison is done. And I had to learn how to leave. I had to learn how to say I'm done. I had to learn that it's like, this isn't good. And there's absolutely no reason why I am staying here. Obviously there are things that we have to do and that we really do have to tough it out, right? There is no option. There is no passing the buck. There is no, it lands on us and we have to deal with it. And so obviously there's things that we just don't want to do that we have to do. But when it's not like that, I was doing stuff that I didn't need to do because I was afraid to leave. And so I had to learn how to leave. And I had to learn how to say enough is enough. And do it tastefully, do it with kindness, do it respectfully, do it, hey, like this, I'm just, I'm leaving graciously, right? I'm leaving graciously. I'm leaving and I'm not making a fuss over it. I'm just gonna go, right? And so yes, number 2 is that I learned how to leave. And thankfully, I had opportunities to leave. I had opportunities to move into different directions. So number 3 is that I finally, after 28 years, discovered who I am, what I want, and what I want my life to look like. It's like, daggum, it took me 28 years. I sort of always knew it, right? I think we always sort of know, but I just sort of like danced around it and avoided the reality. In the process of leaving a number of situations, I left situations that were clouding my vision, okay? I was leaving situations that, they were making me look at things a certain way, or they made me feel a certain way, or they gave me certain pressures where it's like, oh, I have to do this one thing this specific way in order for it to work. I left a lot of things that were clouding my vision. And the moment I stepped away, it was almost like my eyes cleared. It was like a new world was before me, because there were so many things, right? Like this YouTube channel, my writing, there were so many things that it's like, this is what I want. Like, this is how I want this to look. I'm not worried about my stats. I'm not worried about how much money I can rake in. I'm not worried about any of that. I want to create something that I love, that is beautiful, that I can be proud of, and that is aligned with me. And a lot of the things that I left, those things were making me feel like what I wanted to do would only lead to failure. And so leaving those situations, leaving those jobs, leaving those positions, they really opened my eyes. They opened my eyes to the fact that it's like, actually, like, this is what I want. Actually, this is what I want that, is way more aligned and is going to lead me down the path that I want to go down. Don't feel lost anymore. I don't feel like I'm being pulled in a million different directions that I don't like anymore. Instead, it feels like, yes, this is what it is. This is what it is. And I don't have those voices, barking in my ear, never whispering. They're always barking, well, what you want is wrong. You need to do it this way in order to succeed. I don't have those voices in my ear right now. That might change, but right now, I don't have those voices in my ear. Number 4 is that my views on money changed. So I think that this has been definitely a gradual process. I tell people all the time that when I went to college greedy. I went to college completely transfixed on the idea of making a bunch of money. That was my goal. A prominent message that I heard coming into 2025 was that it's like, you need to make a lot of money, right? You need to make a lot of money. Whether it's on this YouTube channel, whether it's, starting a business, you have to have digital downloads, you have to have, all these guides that people can buy online, you have to have an online course, you have to have a job that's paying you 6 figures, you have to have all these things because you just need to make money. Like, that's all you need to do is make money. Like, everything was about money. I also felt like a lot of people were telling me, like, if you want to make money, then you have to be obsessed with making money. Like, and I've heard that message a number of times this year, and it just feels so icky to me. It just feels very, like, out of touch. Because, honestly, and I told my mom this the other day, I was like, everything that I've ever pursued so desperately and so, like, crazily, it never works out. Like, if I am desperate for something, if I am desperate for money, I'm never gonna get more money. That is what I have learned. Every time I am, like, completely fixated on money and making more money, it's like the money just vanishes into thin air, right? But the moment I calm down and say, you know what, like, I'm gonna be okay. Like, I will be okay. I just need to do what I need to do. I just need to stay aligned. I just need to do what I do best. The money will come. The money will come. I think that a major thing was, once again, learning how to leave. It's very uncomfortable, especially when you're talking about money, right? I mean, the job that I left, I had this is how much money I'm making. I knew I could make more money, but I knew how much money I could, like, consistently, I was making this much money, right? When I was working at my job. So leaving that was uncomfortable. Some of the other situations I was working in, they were very money driven and they were dependably giving me a lot of money, but they were, like, making me feel disgusting. They were making me feel very bad. They were making me feel very, like, a lot of pressure that I didn't need. And so removing myself from those situations was unnerving because they provided a lot of money. But at the same time, removing myself from those situations really gave me clarity on what money actually is. And the fact is that money is a tool and nothing more. Money is not, it has only as much value as you assign it, basically. It doesn't matter what, the value of a dollar is or the exchange rate or anything. Guys, I went to school for finance. You can whip all the finance lingo out on me. I don't promise to understand right away, but I can pick it up pretty quickly. And the one thing that I understand is that it's like, it is only valuable, it is only hyper valuable when you assign it so much value. when you're so hungry for it, when you just see it as the king of everything, then it's going to be the king of everything. But if it's not your king of everything, then it's just something, right? It is just a resource. It is just a way to motivate you forward. It is just a way to move through the world, right? It is just a tool. It is just a resource. And I really settled into the idea this year that it's like, I don't need to be rich to be happy, because that might never happen, right? And if I'm constantly waiting to be happy for when I'm going to be rich and famous, then I might be waiting a very long time. I might be waiting forever. And I don't want that, right? I'd much rather be happy now, even though I don't have a lot. Even though it's like, yeah, sometimes I'm sort of worried about whether or not I can pay my bills. Yeah, sometimes I'm sort of worried about, wow, almond milk's super expensive, right? Like, it's not one of those deals where I just have money to burn. But realizing that it's like, that's okay. It's okay that you've changed your perspective, and it's okay that you don't have a lot. It's okay that you have very humble means. It's okay that you're frugal. That's all okay. You don't have to have a lesser quality of life, because if you're able to be content with a little, imagine how content you can be with a lot. And so my view on money has definitely changed. It's uncomfortable. I mean, there's a lot of times when it is uncomfortable because, again, no, I don't have a ton of money, but I feel like I have a very healthy view of money now. I feel like I have a very healthy relationship with money now. Instead of desperately chasing it, it's like, you know what, like, girl, if you want to come to me, but I'm not going to force you, because obviously you don't like to be forced. And the fifth thing for my 2025 Wrapped is that I've really slowed down quite a bit, and I've simplified quite a bit. And I think that, mindfulness has honestly, like, this kind of mindfulness has seeped into all areas of my life, whether it's this YouTube channel, my writing, my money, what I eat, how I exercise, like all of it. It's like, slow the frick down. Like, just slow down and make it simple. I feel like we assign value to complexity, and that's really stupid, because I've lived in complex situations and they suck, right? Like, I've lived in things that I made complex, right? I decided to make my life complex, and it sucked. I hated it. It wasn't fun. I was constantly lost. I was constantly confused. I was constantly stressed. It sucked. And so by simplifying and slowing down, it's like, I have a chance to actually digest my life. I have a chance to enjoy my life. I have a chance to savor things, right? Instead of constantly racing to make more money, racing to be more successful, racing to have the best clothes, racing to, to get all these things done, to be involved in the most things, to whatever it is, racing. Instead of racing, I've slowed down and I've simplified, and it's like, you know what? Like, I can sit on the couch with my niece and my nephew and watch a dumb movie and be completely content. I don't feel stressed that I'm not achieving my goals in this very moment. Because that's what it used to be. It used to be like, oh, if I'm not like working to build my social media platforms or do this or do that, if I'm not working, then I'm failing. And that is just a horrible way to live. That's honestly a horrible way to live. And I think that it's come down to a place where it's like, I'm tired of living like that. And I've realized that that's not what I want. And I've realized that it's like, all the people that have been around me that lived like that, I never got the sense that they were necessarily happy. I always got the sense that it's like, I wish I did slow down. I wish I could slow down. And so by slowing down, I can focus on what is actually important to me, right? I can focus on the projects and the things that I'm investing in that are actually important to me and that I really, really love and I'm passionate about. I can focus on spending time with my family. I can focus on taking care of myself. I can focus on serving in different capacities and volunteering in different capacities. I can do those things. I don't have to constantly be worrying about what I'm doing and how I can build some empire in some way, shape, or form. Instead, it's like, I am content, right? I am content. No, my life doesn't look the way I wish it could look, right? No, I don't live in a fancy apartment. I don't have these certain things. I don't have these certain opportunities. Right? There's a lot of things that it's like, I wish I was farther along than this. I wish I was farther along. But I'm content with where I'm at. And I think that you can only reach that when you slow down and you simplify and you realize it's like, I'm fine. Like, I am fine. And I don't need the whole world and more in order to survive, in order to be okay, and in order to be happy. All in all, I think that what you can see from all of these points is that 2025 really taught me how to partake in life, right? 2025 taught me that it's like partaking in life doesn't mean, the materialistic, flashy, all the pomp and circumstance that surrounds luxury living, right? Instead, partaking of life is something where it's like you are taking your time, you're enjoying your life, you're savoring life while simultaneously pursuing your goals in a very tasteful, in a very mindful, in a very intentional way. My life is more balanced. I'm not obsessive. I'm not stressed. I don't feel like in order to be successful that I have to be a big deal, right? Like I said it in my birthday video. I don't have to be Taylor Swift to be successful. That's not the requirement. Instead, I'm able to be more at peace with where I'm at. Instead, I'm able to look at where I'm at and say, you know what, Ellison, this is just where you are. And no amount of rushing, no amount of forcing, and no amount of stressing and comparing and freaking out is going to move you forward in any capacity. And so a lot of it has just been a matter of me swallowing the pill that, perhaps I've been living really freakishly not good the past 5 years, right? Like, that's what this year has honestly taught me, is that it's like, girl, you've been freaking out for no reason. And that it's okay to calm down. And if you're interested in learning more of the different lessons that I've learned, not just this year, but in my 28 years of life in general, then you should definitely check out my birthday videos, because in that video, I am talking about the 28 lessons that I have learned from my 28 years of life.